and authors and really amazing people out there spreading light in the world. Today, we're so excited to have Dr. Sue Morter, international speaker, master of bioenergetic medicine, and quantum field visionary, as well as best-selling author of The Energy Codes, the 7-step system to awaken your spirit, heal your body, and live your best life. Dr. Sue, thank you for joining us.
Oh, absolutely. It's my pleasure. Absolutely. It's a perfect time in the world right now to be talking about such relevant things. So I'm looking forward to seeing where we get to go today.
Excellent. Yes, let's talk about what's happening in the world. Everyone is kind of stuck at home right now. Hopefully, they're tuned in to this broadcast and able to get a little guidance and support from what they're going through. Can you share your insights on what we're undergoing right now?
Absolutely. What I've been sharing with people in these past couple of weeks is that this is something that so many of us could actually say we kind of knew something was coming. We kind of knew that
Mm,
something was going to happen to shake humanity a little bit and to rock us. And it's definitely working. And I've been encouraging everyone to recognize that this is a time where we could actually reach inside ourselves and find a creative aspect of ourselves that we maybe never would have found had we been going along in the habits and the ways of living in kind of the drone that we were operating in. Even if it was a high paced, fast, intense drone, it still might have been this idea that we have to do in order to be okay. And it's kind of like the universe just said, well, stopping that. We're not doing that now. Let's see who you are under these circumstances. And it's rocking a lot of people. And it's also dropping a lot of people into their hearts where they might feel
mm,
fear deep in their bellies and a tightness in their chest. There actually are some things that we can do with those feelings that will work to our benefit in an amazing self-healing kind of way, which I hope to get into just a couple of those ideas today, just to help people right where the rubber meets the road.
Oh, I love that. And I'm definitely feeling that from many peers and is our when we take away the productivity and the hustle and the do, what's left for us? And in our society, we put so much value on that, do, produce. So where does that leave us when that the busyness is taken away?
Yeah, it leaves
So
us with what we've cultivated or have not cultivated underneath all the doing. And ultimately, what we know in the course of our lives, we can't just be doers. You know, as people mature and they age and they stop that race of a run to make things happen in their lives, they kind of sit back and they relax and they start reflecting on their lives and they start to cultivate a lot of wisdom from their experiences, etc. And it's not that they've had to live a full lifetime in order to get a hold of such wisdom. It's actually that they just have to stop and reflect and inquire deep within. And everyone's being given the opportunity to do that right now. And we could actually, when this passes and opens up again, we could emerge as something completely more refined and well polished and more integrated and awake than we were, 2 months ago before we had a flicker of an idea that life would be feeling like this at this time. So, so what happens when we stop all the doing is something starts to rise up inside of us. And if it's something
Mhm.
that we haven't had a regular practice connecting with through breath work or through meditation or things like that, or contemplation, reflective, sitting, if we haven't been having that as a part of our lives, then what we're experiencing right now is this giant void that makes us very uncomfortable. And we start looking for things to do, and we start overeating, or we start stressing, or we start um, projecting into the future, or we get clamored onto the news to figure out what's going to happen from the outside in, all of which is not necessary if we just know that right now I could just sit and land and breathe in my deep core
Mm.
and allow a connection with my mind and this thing that's rising inside of me. And it could actually serve me in a way that my life wouldn't have been serving me just a few months ago, the way that I was living it. So we're being forced to sit down, to be still, to be inside, to be, collected and drop down into some reality that we've been kind of staying above and beyond. And there's value here. There's so much wisdom here. There's such a deep sense of self and self-assuredness that if we just train our minds to find it and to connect with it, when we do emerge, we will emerge with much more wisdom and connectivity and an ability to self-heal, and with a reassured feeling of, we've got this. We truly know how to be in all circumstances. That's the purpose of our life, is to really get good at being
Mm.
with any kind of vibrational frequency, any kind of energy that the world has to offer.
Wow. So some of the comments coming in are tell us how to be more refined. What if we are just now feeling this void or facing this void, perhaps we haven't done a lot of the work leading up to this, and perhaps we have, and we're still faced with this, fear or kind of boredom or this weird, uncomfortable feelings. How do we embrace that and use it to get to this beautiful outcome that you're
Right.
describing?
Interestingly enough, right now, when we get nervous about what's going to happen financially, or what's going to happen with the schedules, or how do I deal with the kids being at home now, or how do I deal with, my husband, or, whatever in the same room with me all day long, how do I deal with these things? There's an energy that starts to rise up from inside of us. And interestingly, that energy, if we would connect with it instead of try to suppress it or get around it or deal with it in some kind of avoidance way, if we would just sit and be with it, what actually happens is we start to train the
Mhm.
subconscious that this energy is a part of me that I was suppressing because I was so busy doing on top of it.
Mm.
And now, as I'm not doing and it starts to rise up, it actually is the energetic that we will translate into wisdom and translate into a feeling of knowing how, or knowing that I'll know when I get there what I need to know. I don't need to know ahead of time. I don't need to overwork and overthink and overdo and overtry. That if I just train my mind to sit here and be with this feeling that's rising up inside of me and not have to do anything with it, in fact, not even have to name it. Like, is this anxiety? Is it fear? Is it anger? Is it, frustration? We get so busy naming it that we don't even allow ourselves to feel it. And if we would actually just feel it, it would turn into and kind of merge into the rest of all of our energies that we are familiar with. And it would start to supercharge them and empower them, because these are energies that we've been continually suppressing most of our lives. And that suppression ends up leading us to having to always be producing, always be outrunning, always be outperforming who we were just a minute ago, in an attempt to stay ahead of this subconscious issue that there's an energy back there or down in here that I'm not really comfortable with. So I'm just going to keep going so that I can make myself comfortable, or make myself think that I'm comfortable in this moment. So there's nowhere to go. Nobody's running late right now. It's okay. Just sit there and be with what you're feeling. And when you do, it refines you. When you do, it expands your bandwidth. And there's even something more that you could do with it. Just feel it and notice where in your body in particular you're feeling the most activated on any given day, any given moment of any given day. Because here's what's happening. Some part of you might rise from deep in your gut all the way up, trying to get up to these high brain centers that activate our executive decision making abilities. It allows us to create and to generate new ideas, or it's activating our genius if we let it. But what happens is it starts to rise, we're uncomfortable with it, so we start thinking, and the thinking alone presses it back down. Sometimes it might be rising from your throat where you feel tightness in your throat. Sometimes it might be rising from your chest where you feel heaviness in your chest or this pressure of some sort. It might be a stomach ache, a knot in your gut. Any particular area of the body is actually associated. This is one of the things that I talk about in the book, the energy codes that you mentioned earlier, that particular areas of our body will give us feedback as to why the strain, the stress is affecting us here versus here versus here. It means something different in the different areas of our body that we're feeling this uncomfortable feeling, or we're just feeling activated. That's one of the easiest ways for me to describe it. So wherever you are feeling activated has a specific meaning to it. If it's in your deep gut, it means something different than if it's in your chest. If it's in your deep gut, it could be that you don't listen to your own gut feelings, that your own personal power is being questioned, or you're ready to evolve in that way. And this set of circumstances is actually serving your ability to start evolving in that way if you let it. And here's all it takes. Notice where in your body that you are activated in any given moment when you're just sitting there and it's like, no, I don't want another snack. I can't walk the dog again today. What else is there to do? Uh, just sit there. Just sit there and say, well, what is it that makes me think I need to be doing something? And where do I feel an activation in my body? And here's what's going to happen. Your mind is going to drop straight to your heart or to your gut or to your throat area, or you're going to feel a surge or a charge in your body in one of those places. Here's the invitation. Squeeze it back. Let it know that your mind and your body and your breath in a minute are going to be working together to actually infuse this energy in a productive fashion into the working energies that you utilize to get through every day, to make all the decisions, to speak into the things that you need to speak into, or to let things go that you need to let go of. Those all require specific kinds of energy. And your system is going to show you why it hasn't been working so well for you and how it can start to. So let's say I got a knot in my stomach when I just think about the world and what's happening today, and I lost my job, or I'm about to, or I'm not sure what's happening, and there's an uneasiness. And here's the invitation. Ask, where in the body am I feeling it the most? Maybe you don't feel anything, but maybe you do. If you don't feel anything, your mind will go to a place. If you do feel something, it could be a knot in your chest, a lump in your stomach, in your throat, whatever. Squeeze it back. Just squeeze it back. Hug it on the inside, as if to say, I'm with you. I got it. I'm going to get my mind to listen to this energy being that is here underneath the surface of my skin, that's trying to guide my life all the time. Meditators, the ancient sages, the rishis, the adepts from ancient Eastern culture all talk about this invisible force that we're supposed to tap, that we're supposed to connect with. Well, 20 years ago, I had that connection, and have spent the last 20 years teaching people how to not only find that connection themselves, but how to benefit from it out here on the surface of life. So once you squeeze it, now start breathing. Take a deep belly breath while you're squeezing it, and start to breathe up and down a channel of your body. And if we have a minute today, I can show people how to do that. But the most important thing that we do is sit down and let yourself feel what you're feeling. Have what you're having. And when you do, it starts to dissolve and dissipate into an empowered version of you. Notice where in your body you feel the most activated, and hug it back. Squeeze it back. Let it know that mind and body and breath are interested in working together, because that's the strongest version of me on the surface of this planet, is when mind, body, and breath are working as a unified force. When they're working together, we make better decisions. We heal. We start to create space for those that we love to say what they need to say without getting ourselves into an argument or into some kind of dispersing, triggering event. We have the capacity to solve issues that we thought were unsolvable when we land in our bodies, anchor ourselves, and start breathing with consciousness. When that happens, we start to pierce the veils inside of us and allow ourselves to operate as an integrated individual.
Mm. Wow, so much good info there. I love how you say, it's which part of your body is activated, which energy center. Even though it's uncomfortable, it's just bringing your awareness there. And really, any activation is neither positive or negative. It's just energy there, bringing your awareness so that you can identify that. A question that's come in a few times is, do you feel like the respiratory symptoms that are, synonymous with COVID-19 have anything to do with correlation with an energy center, or if there's, some collective, maybe it's the solar plexus activation or something that's happening here. Do you have any insight there?
Beautiful question. Yes, I think there's a direct correlation, and it has to do for humanity with our own personal power, our own true knowing of who we actually are, which is solar plexus oriented. And it connects to the heart space, which, if they are connected, there is a beautiful empowerment of love in our lives. Love
Mm.
meaning not just Hallmark card, go to the movies kind of love, Valentine's Day love, but not romantic love, but actually a loving presence that allows everything to be okay, to work in collaboration with what is, and to not be in constant resistance to it, which ultimately depletes our immune system. Because if we're always fighting and resisting everything, our body's ability to continue to do that exhausts. We're not built to be resisting things all the time. We're actually built to be collaborating with things. And so this solar plexus, this energy center, just where your ribs splay apart, like if you got punched there, it would knock the wind out of you. That solar plexus is your personal power. But your personal power ideally would be identified as this amazing energy being that isn't just this five sensory personality that has to deflect things and protect ourselves from whatever. It's actually a multi-dimensional being, which is, a big word, but it has to do with the fact that we're made of energy, and energy cannot be created or destroyed, and we're made of that. And so the truth of us is eternal, which spirituality has been telling us forever. And now quantum science is telling us, everything is energy. And spirituality has been saying you're a spirit that's been living forever. And quantum science is saying you're made of energy, and energy cannot be created or destroyed. And if we really look at it, we're saying the same thing. So when we start to merge those together, we start to become empowered in a different way. We realize that we've got this, that we've been coming to this planet for a long, long time, and we've been engaging and evolving and carrying on human consciousness and waking up in all kinds of amazing ways. We're capable of having a discussion like this today, and 300 years ago, it wouldn't have been so easy to have this kind of conversation, because they're just different needs and different evolutions that continue to take place. So yes, I would say that when we learn to breathe in the solar plexus, and we learn to breathe low in the belly, even below the solar plexus to support it, and we learn to merge that up with the heart and breathe in a spherical fashion, merging them all together, it starts to activate, which is, as you were saying, Shannon, to flip a light switch on. It's not good or bad, it's just turning it on. It's about turning on the juice of who we are, so that we can start to experience ourselves as healers within, and as creators of our life experience, rather than having to be afraid and reactive and constantly in a knee-jerk reaction to life, rather than moving into life and turning it into something that works for you, rather than having to avoid things that we think are too big for us, that we're not capable of mastering, of managing.
Mm, wow, so good. I'm getting a little emotional just because I'm so excited for, it's horrible what's happening, but I'm so excited for the global transformation as well, and us stepping back into our personal power and our collective power and our spiritual power. It's such an exciting, transformative time right now. So another question that's come in is many people are struggling with grief, feelings of grief. Maybe they're holding that in their body, and grief of what's happening, but also missing connection, human connection.
Yeah.
Can you share any insight
Yeah.
there?
I want to say something about grief. It's actually a very valuable feeling, but we've been raised in grief denying cultures. So we don't know what to do with grief. We avoid grief. If somebody's grieving, we want to cheer them up. We want to pull them right up and out of it as quickly as we can, because we love them. And I know from an energetic standpoint, and from working with tens of thousands of patients over the last 40 years, and working with people in workshops in mass with thousands of people at a time, or down to 6 people at a time in a small group intensive, that one of the things that is the most healing for people is when they learn to embrace their grief, when they learn to feel it and let it be a natural, real experience, and not try to run from it, not be afraid of it. People are so afraid that if I go down into this grief, I may never come back up and out again. It feels so heavy,
Mm,
or it feels so lonely, or we're isolated. Maybe we were feeling isolated before this even happened, and now we're being instructed to, kind of self-isolate. And so, the human touch is not really upon us like normal. I notice how often I hug people, and how often I'm always touching people and shaking their hands, and just connecting with them in that way. And so I understand that there is a tremendous shift in an expression that's happening right now. But if we will allow it to serve, and just notice there's this lot of space between me and others, maybe I could fill that space with love. Maybe I could just practice filling the 6 feet that are between me and the person I'm supposed to stand next to in the grocery line. Just fill it up with love, fill it up with compassion, and know that everybody's going through this at the same time. Grief is actually an anchoring energy. It's a heavy energy. which pulls us down into our bodies. And if you'll let it pull you down into your body, it will facilitate what I call embodiment. And this is one of the most empowering things that we will ever do. What we have to realize is that we're all enlightened beings. We are made of high frequency energy, pure consciousness. We're made of this. And our objective was to come here and come completely into a body. And we came like part way and we got stuck at our heads and we just kind of lived there. And so grief pulls you down into your body. And it's like, what's that? What am I doing there? I'm supposed to be living up here. And the fact of the matter is, we're not supposed to be living up here. We're supposed to be coming here into our manifesting capacities, our abilities to love no matter what, our ability to feel our personal power, and to even in a lower fashion, access our deep eternal wisdom and have access to that and a feeling of being supported by Mother Nature all the time. It's available to us, but no one has been teaching us how to do that in mass. It sometimes it goes into deep spiritual conversations or these very explicit meditative techniques, all of which I teach. But I also know there's a real need for us to bring this up to the surface of life and just say, hey, give it to me straight. What's one thing I can do to start myself on a path that I have been intimidated to go on, or it wasn't interesting to me, or it just looked too different of another culture or something along those lines. And I just can't. So that one thing that I would start to do is breathe in your belly. If you're feeling grief, feel your grief and breathe down in your belly. Open your heart and just come down in here for yourself. There was a time in my life where I was having to change treating my patients every day because I was being called out to come and speak out in the world. And I was ending a relationship that I thought was going to be a relationship for the rest of my life. And I had lost two of my dogs in this split that I was supposed to keep the dog, that thing. Came home one day, my dogs were gone, and my mother had just passed. It was amazing. It was one of those moments where everything was just happening at once. And I was leaving my house to go to the clinic one day, and I turned around, forgot something, and went back past my bed to go to my closet to get it. And I just fell onto my bed and collapsed in complete despair, in complete spinning and swirling down a deep, dark well that had no bottom. And I couldn't find anything, and I was crying and crying so intensely. And I felt this message, like these words in my head that said, if I lose everything, if everything goes away, at least I'll have me. And I didn't even know what those words meant, but man, did I feel it. It was like, if everything goes away, I'll still have me. And in the middle of that, deep despair, the greatest sense of joy that I had ever experienced started to rise right up through the middle of it. And I was crying, and all of a sudden I was kind of laughing, and I was crying and laughing, and I couldn't figure out, am I crying or am I laughing? And it was like, yes, yes. And what was happening there was I was allowing myself to have what I was having. I was allowing myself to feel. I wasn't trying to fix it. I wasn't trying to change it. My mind just landed on my true essential self. And the true essential self in every one of us right now is trying to rise. And if we will capture this moment and just come onto that feeling and feel it and breathe in our bellies and let that be enough, that we don't have to do anything else. What we'll actually do in that moment is start to cultivate an amazing amount of presence. And when we can be present with these feelings of grief or these feelings of fear or these feelings of isolation, if we can know that right now in this exact moment, am I okay? I mean, yes, I miss so and so. And yes, I would really rather be going to work and doing this and that. And yes, I'm afraid about my job security. But right now in this now moment, am I okay? Like, am I okay? And actually the answer will be yes. And if the answer is no, I'm freaking out, just breathe with the freak out. Just be with that. And then there's something under that. No, I'm angry. Okay, let's just be with the anger and breathe in the body and breathe up and down this central channel of the body as if you're breathing from above your head right into the center of your brain, into the center of your throat, into the center of your chest, into the center of your belly, right into the belly, and then exhale right into the earth and let the earth take it. Let gravity help you. Let gravity help you drop into your bodies right now, because that's all we need. When we drop into our bodies, our minds start operating on alpha frequency. Instead of coming up into these gamma and beta, these high frequency churning wave patterns that write stories so fast we just get all up in that. Just breathe down into your body. Keep coming lower and lower and lower, stretching down into your body and exhaling into the earth. And then take an inhale up from the earth into your low belly and let it feel good. Just let it feel good. Even though you're in all of the mental and emotional things that you're in, just in that moment, let it feel good to just take a deep breath. And then you exhale right up through that channel and out the top of your head. Just make that part up until you learn what I'm talking about. And then just breathe right back down into your belly again and exhale into the earth. If you will allow that pattern of breath to be happening on top of you deciding, I'm just going to feel what I'm feeling and not do anything with it. When I fully come onto it, it will transform. If I deny it or shove it away, it will keep coming back because the nature of our being here is to become good at being present with every experience that life has to offer. And right now, we are being offered up some amazing material to work with. It's it's like an entire meditation retreat for the whole world at the same moment. It's amazing what's happening.
Well, I can imagine when you become a master of this, or when you become at least, a little bit more experienced at this, you start to welcome these feelings as a chance to, really identify them and metabolize them and get to that
They
next
certainly
level.
start to take on a different flavor. Happenings in life are like they become a curiosity. It's like, wow, I wonder how
Hmm.
that is going to serve me. And I'm going to turn it
Mhm.
into something that's going to serve me. That's my job. My job is to take it in and find some way that I am benefiting on the inside. If I can't figure it out, how I'm going to benefit on the outside. Like, how am I going to benefit from not having a job and, going crazy with my kids and all this stuff? Benefit on the inside. We're definitely being called to visit the inner workings of our being. And I love offering up ways for people to not only do that, but to do it well and to eventually do it masterfully so that the next time something happens, we already know, oh, been here before, got this. I know I already have the circuitry in place to ride this kind of a situation. Right now is the time for us to be building this new energetic circuitry that stimulates neurocircuitry that memorizes it in our conscious and our subconscious memories that allow us to have this sense of well-being in an unconditional fashion. Meaning, I don't have to have certain circumstances in my outer world be in a certain way in order for me to feel comfortable and safe in the world. I can be safe and comfortable in the world no matter what's going on out there. That's what we want to be building right now. And so that's why we're having these kinds of conversations, is to invite people into, hey, this is not a problem. This is a solution in mass. All of humanity is being asked to do things a little different. And right when that's happening, the whole bandwidth of human consciousness is up for reevaluation. It's up for transformation. And if there was ever a time that someone wanted to lay down their tendency to be afraid and intimidated and not speak their truth and need to control others, and they wanted to let go of those kinds of ways of being, there's never been a better time to change yourself in these moments because everyone is in a wobble. And so there's not this hard wired, grounded template that we're trying to break through. It's wobbly and malleable right now. And it's easier for you to pierce a new idea into the atmosphere, if you will.
Wow. Yes, absolutely. It's like we're about ready to update. Just like, remind me tomorrow. Well, let's do it right now, the system. So, how exciting. Thank you
Right.
so
To
much.
whatever. And it's like, no, right now.
Right now. Yeah, let's do it right now. Let's stop
Yeah.
putting it off. Let's embrace it.
It's a pop quiz.
Um,
That's what I've been telling everyone. This is a pop quiz just
oh,
to see how you've been doing.
oh, I love that. So Dr. Sue, thank you so much for taking the time with us today. I've seen so many of the comments. People are resonating with your
Oh,
message
yay.
and just yeah, life changes so fast with your approach and stay out of the story, feel it in the body. Such good comments here.
Yes,
So thank you everyone who's joined us.
absolutely.
And And we have a free gift from Dr. Sue. I'll just pop it up here. That is in the comments in the description of the event today. So please pop over to that link and join Dr. Sue for a wonderful experience of free meditation. Correct?
Yes, I created it for exactly this, to activate this healing presence of being able to cultivate our ability to be with whatever is rising, and then ultimately to activate this creative capacity that we have, because that is how we heal. We heal as a byproduct of revealing our true magnificence, and that is also, interestingly, what cultivates a strong immune system. By being allowed to be in its creativity, the system will automatically start producing all of the chemicals that are needed for a robust immunity, no matter what. So that's what we have to turn to, is waking up to our true power from within.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think that's a great takeaway, waking up to our true power from within.
Yes, my
So,
pleasure.
thanks so much.
Absolutely, Shannon. Thank you all.
Have,
I'm happy to connect anytime.
excellent. Have a great
You
evening.
too.